Just noodling around here, especially focusing on some triads, which I want to get in today. I want to show you a couple cool things. I'm going to tell you about a crazy story that happened to me on the Gulf Coast. There is plenty of those to go around, trust me. God, I'm glad I survived those 21 years on the Gulf Coast. I don't want any of these stories to reflect negatively on any of my family, because they were amazing. It was me that was the problem, and most of the people on the Gulf Coast. No, I'm just kidding. My parents are great. They're amazing, upstanding citizens. Loving family, super smart, just very, very, very fair and honest and compassionate human beings. They're amazing. My uncles partied a little bit. Their friends and their friends' sons, and we all got kind of crazy down there on the Gulf Coast at times. It was a crazy place, man. It was a bunch of musicians and artists and sailors and boat builders and panhandling swamp dwellers, as John Oates likes to call it. But we'll get to that. But getting into this thing, I was teaching a lesson just a minute ago to a nice fellow up in the Northeast, man. They're getting pummeled up there with some snow and wind and all kinds of stuff. I think mainly, I think Ohio is really getting nailed too. We had a call with a guy earlier in Ohio, around the Cincinnati area. Hope you guys are doing good out there. It's freezing fucking cold here in Nashville. Played the gig last night. It wasn't quite as good as the one the week before. The last gig with the trio at the Underdog at the end of 2024 was amazing. Last night was good and fun, but it just didn't hold up to one before. It was freezing cold last night, man. The weather probably kept a bunch of people in. Nashville is one of these towns where as soon as there's a blip on the radar of any sort of snow or ice or anything like that, I went to Publix. I had a dinner party here Sunday with a good friend of mine, Paul and Logan from Santa Cruz. Young Tom came over, and another friend of theirs, Erica, and we had a little dinner party. And my thing was, man, let's pick a country and just cook from that area. And I'll provide the kitchen. I've got a nice kitchen down there with a gas stove, and I've got all the cooking utensils. It's like the guy that has all the golf clubs but can't play golf. And then the guy that owns all the guitar pedals and all the guitars and has a hard time figuring out how to play a blues song. Well, that's okay. We're all struggling in our own areas, trust me. But man, trying to get motivated. I was so fired up about 2025, and then man, I'm trying to pull myself out of the holiday vacation mode, and it takes a minute. It's a good week for me to get back to like hitting on all cylinders. But I was going to tell you, I had this little dinner party downstairs, and so I want to learn how to cook some more stuff, and I thought, why not get some good chefs. The girl is a chef at the Catbird Seat, which is one of these like 12-course, $2,500 meals here in Nashville. And she came over, and man, it was a lesson in we did just some stir fry. I pulled up a video on YouTube, and I was like, okay, we got some rice noodles, we got some chicken, some nice vegetables. I like to do a nice charcuterie board beforehand, where we can all have some, drink some champagne, drink some wine, have some nice cheeses and things like that. That's what I like to do in my, middle age. Going to bars is fun, but I don't do that every night like I used to, man. It's just too much. And so we do stuff like that around the house, but it was fantastic, man. I had a great time. Learned some stuff about cooking in the wok and, making these things taste really good and also be healthy and fresh and all that. But just sharing a couple things. I'm going to put my point of that whole story was I'm gonna put a little clip of the vibe of what that was like. Of course, I was coming in hot. I'm gonna put that at the end of this video just so you can see what that kind of fun thing is to do. But I was getting into these triads in that lesson that I did earlier, and man, this is something that if you can start doing this, it's really, really going to open up your guitar playing. It's a musical exercise. I want exercises to be musical. It's kind of the equivalent to going to the gym and running on a treadmill and not going anywhere versus getting out and running for the same benefit and having some scenery going by you and some like actual, inspiration, for the lack of a better term, doing something that's useful. If you're going to run, let's go somewhere. If you're going to exercise or do an exercise on the guitar, some sort of practice, let's make it musical into something that's going to help us. So less of this. That's like, you're never going to play that on a gig, but you will play this. Right? Those kind of things, right? So you get the picture. So let me tell you this. So if you can take these big chords and realize that the end goal here is to not be playing these big giant shapes all the time and be locked into those where our 4 fingers, 5 fingers can't do anything else. That's not the point. The point is to see these big chords in their entirety, the constellation notes in there. There's only 3 of them in all these shapes, right? A major chord has a root, 3rd, 5th. That's it. So if we take these big chords and we start breaking them down into groups of 3 strings, 3 notes. If I play a rhythm part, I've used that before, that example, because there's movement there, there's rhythm. You can hear what I'm doing. A7, right? 3 notes, 3 notes, 3 notes, 3 notes, 3 notes, 3 notes, 3 notes. It's all 3 groups of 3s because 3 notes completes the thought. It's a chord. You've got everything you need to know there. But if I was to do this, it's too much. There's too many notes there. It's too much output. So it keeps it nice and clean, says what you need to, and then get out, right? So take these 3 notes, triads, whatever you want to call them, but let's work on going from the 4-chord progression. Let's do C, F, and G. So if I do, now we're not going to use that progression for this whole thing, but the idea is this. I'm going to show you the example that I would do over that kind of a Latin kind of inspired groove, right? Happy kind of thing. So first thing I would do is go C to C7. Even if the chord's just C, F major, C major, G major, right? Over top of that, I would superimpose C. Now you got to really focus on this. I'm only jumping to different groups of 3 strings when I need to. I'm going to try to keep it pretty tightened up here. So if I go, the bass notes and the harmony has to make sense and move around. But if you can really, really get into this, it's going to help you tremendously. So watch this. C to C7, F, F7, C7, G7, C, C7, F, F7, C, G7, C. So I'm going basically 1 to the 1-7. That would be C to C7, F, F7. Now I've dropped down to the G, B, and E string now. So watch up here, this inversion. This is going to help you so much because you're going to be playing these triads all over the fingerboard, and they're simple. They're triads, right? So, and to get to the C to the C7, don't forget we're just flatting the root a whole step. So C, C7. Now the crucial part of this is the fingering and the hand position. This is everything. As soon as you get that under your belt, your hands and fingers are going to fall right where they're supposed to. So if I play this triad, C, C7, F, F7, C, C7, D, G, G7, C, C7. Now, instead of going down here, because I don't want to have to do that, I'm going to jump to the next group of strings, right? So right here, F, F7, C, C7, G, G7. Now I'd probably go up here because I can start with my root in a nice comfortable spot. Now I'm on the D, G, and B string. C, C7, F, F7, C, G7, C. Right? If I do it here, C to C7, C shape, D, G, and B string. F, F7, because the root goes down. C, C7. I can play it like this. I like that one really the best. So C, C7, F. I could go. Here's the thing. If I do it here, then I'm going to go to this F. G, right? So, but if I do it here, my hand's already in this nice plane to go down. So if I go, I'm going to go there and then either there, but I'll probably go here. Now that time, sounds like Three Blind Mice, but I went right there to that one, right? So if I'm here, now we're on the A, D, and G string, which get tricky, right? So you really got to look at this. Those are your low strings, right? Oh, sorry. See? Oh. Gets really tricky. But that's the idea. If you can get into that. Now it doesn't have to be this fast Latin thing. I mean, I like that because it's fun to play and fun to play over. But the idea is just you don't have to do this as elaborate. You can just do it here. You can take C. Just take this triad. And just work around those, right? C, C7, F, F7. Do that so you're climbing up the neck and you can see it. C, C7, G, G7, C. And what's going to happen is with your lead guitar playing, you're going to see great exercise. Okay, look, this is a little advanced, but this is the idea to how this all ties together. If I note lead up to the major third and down to the flat 7 over those chords, you can hear them going by. Watch. All that is C to C7. Now F. C. G. So that's going through these shapes. playing this to overwhelm you with a lot of notes, but this is where this stuff is heading. And so that's an idea of note leading around the third, the flat seven, and the root. You can see where that's going. I hope you get something out of that. That's definitely something to check out. Man, I was going to tell you this crazy story, man. I thought about this the other day because somebody sent me a message from Fairhope, Alabama, and we used to go to Fairhope all the time. It's the eastern shore of Mobile Bay, down on the Gulf Coast, the deep, dirty South down there. And I used to drive my little Saab, 900, hand-me-down car that I got from somebody for $1,200 or something. My parents probably got for me, and I would take that to my gigs, and it was just a little cassette tape. I'd listen to Van Morrison and stuff like that. I loved Van Morrison back then for some reason. I'd listen to cassette tapes of Van Morrison and like old blues stuff. I think like Albert King and stuff. And so, and I smoked a lot of pot back then for a good 10 years probably, and when I moved to Nashville, I stopped doing all that. But, back then it was the Gulf Coast, man. It was, we called them Alabama joints, and they were about as big around as your finger, and it was horrible stuff, and we'd smoke that all the time. And so, not great, right? But so, Fairhope from my house in Lillian was about 45 minutes, right? A drive through 2-lane county roads, man. Straight shot through the cow pastures and cornfields, and a straight shot up through more cow pastures and cornfields, and then straight back. And my parents grew up not on the water, but close to Perdido Bay, where there was some nice houses on the bay, right? And one of my friends from school had one of these big houses, and he was throwing a party that night. And so I was playing a gig in Fairhope, and I couldn't wait to get done with the gig because I had a big old bag, and I had a 12-pack in the cooler in the back of the car, and I was going to jump in the car and beeline it back down to Lillian. 45 minutes, about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock when we got done. I was going to beeline it back down to Lillian to go to this house party, right? Everybody from school was going to be there, and who knows, I probably had some chick I wanted to go meet or something, and I was just, that was what was on my mind back then. I was at that night, I was, hell-bent on going to that party. So I was up in Fairhope. We did a duo gig. I played mandolin and acoustic guitar, and my buddy played acoustic guitar and sang these songs, and we did like Western swing and old bluegrass and blues songs and all kinds of eclectic folk music. As you can tell, that's where I came from. That's my background. And so we played the gig. I jumped in the car, and I beelined it back down to Lillian. So I get down the 2-lane road. I get to the driveway, approaching the driveway to turn in to go to this guy's house. It was a long shell driveway to get down to his house, from the county road down to the water, which is probably, I don't know, 300-400 yards maybe driveway or something. And so when I pulled in to the driveway, I came in, not like out of control, but I came in, a little bit fast into the driveway, and there was these guys standing there that I didn't see right away, and they had to kind of jump out of the way. And I was like, oh shit, so I slowed down, I continued down the driveway. Cars everywhere. I'm good all the way up, and I park in front of the house. I get all the way down and found a parking spot right in front of the house. Well, I got out, I got the beer, I went down to the beach. We had a big party, there was a couple guitars floating around. All my gear's in the back of my car, amp, pedal board, acoustic guitar, electric guitar, mandolin, rack effects. Back then I had a rack for my mandolin preamp and all this fancy shit, And so I was probably about 16, 17. And so what happened is the party, went on for hours, and I figured it was time to leave. We were probably going to go somewhere else or something. I don't know. And so I walk all the way back up to the house. There's people everywhere. And I go to get in my car, and those guys that were in the driveway that I spooked a little bit, I guess, they were all standing around my car, like 8 of these guys, and all older than me, a couple years older than me, and a lot bigger, and good old Southern Alabama rednecks, man. And they were not happy, and these guys were not good people, and man, they surrounded me, and the guy was yelling. He was like, man, hit him, hit him. These guys weren't happy with me. And so I had to jump. I opened my passenger door. I ended up on the passenger side for some reason. These guys finagled me. I was on the passenger side by myself. I ended up opening the passenger door, jumping in the car, starting the car, blasting backwards out of the driveway, whipped out onto the 2-lane road. Well, these guys came chasing me. And they're in some old Chevy 4-door, and there's like 6, 7 of these guys, or however many could fit in this car. And I haul ass, and these guys start chasing me. And man, it's midnight, and it's dark, and we're on an Alabama 2-lane road down there around my house. There's cornfields everywhere, cow pastures. And these guys were in a high-speed chase, and I'm doing 80, and I'm trying to figure out what my game plan is, because these guys are going to kill me. And it was like this craziest thing ever, and I was scared to death. My adrenaline was going crazy. I'm driving the best I could. You know, I go down past the 4-lane turn, or the 4-lane stop. Four-way stop. I blast through that. I continue north on County Road 91, I think it was down there, or 99 maybe, and I'm heading north. And these guys are right behind me, like right on my butt at that point, and they turn their lights off. Next thing I know, they come up, they ram me on the side. I take a spin, I spin around, fly backwards into picture this, right off the 2-lane road. There's a huge cornfield, but in the middle of that, there's a wooded area with a path around it for the tractor to get around. And it's like a swampy wooded area, you know, maybe like a half an acre or an acre maybe of wooded area. And then straight back out into the cornfield, you know. Well, my car spun around and I fly backwards into a tree. The car hits a tree backwards. So I slammed against the back of the seat. Thank God I didn't go forward maybe. I probably had my seatbelt on. I hit to the back. I immediately jump out of the car. All my gear's in the car. There's beer everywhere at this point, and you know, of course, I was probably drinking, and I thought, oh my God. So I took off. I ran hell bent for leather. I ran through the woods, through the wetness, through the swamp. There could have been moccasins in there. Who knows? I ran through there, ran all the way out the end into the cornfield, and I stopped. And I saw their lights at that point. They took off. Well, it wasn't about 15, 20 minutes later, the ambulance shows up, the fire trucks, cops show up, my dad shows up. Me and him grabbed the beer cans and threw them in the woods, and you know, I hid the bag and got the instrument. There was guitar cases were laying out it was like the most crazy thing ever. Car totaled, and I went back to my house, man, and we just, you know, we found out who it was, and we tried to take him to court. The guy didn't show up. You know, it was just a crazy thing. I've had a lot of car accidents on the Gulf Coast, man. It's those dark 2-lane roads coming back from gigs late at night. I am so lucky that I didn't get hurt in any of those wrecks. I mean, I've done some crazy shit. I'll tell you some other stories that are hair-raising. But that was a scary night, and I'm glad I'm here. Anyway, guys, look, thanks a million. I know these are kind of getting long, but you know, I enjoyed doing this, and I hope that your year is off to a great start. Telecasting to you from East Nashville, Tennessee. The adventure continues. There's a lot more to come. Hopefully, see you guys in Chicago. Please check the links. Night 2 there's still some tickets left. Night 1 is sold out. February 7th and 8th in Chicago at Martyrs on Lincoln Avenue, a little bit north of downtown. That's going to be a blast. Much other stuff coming up. Some courses to be released with Brett Papa, Artist Works. We're improving. We're streamlining. We're dialing in. We're trying to get back to being motivated and inspired. Let's learn some guitar together. Take a lesson. Do an immersion experience. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. And just looking forward to working with you. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks a bunch. Ciao for now. All right.
We got a hit.
All right, we decided to congregate here in the kitchen that never gets used unless my parents are in town or unless Paul and Logan come over.
Yeah, baby.
Should we give him the microphone?
And so what we're doing is breaking out the walk that I've had for 15 years and we're using it for the first time.
Let's walk and
We've got
roll.
some certified.
I feel like a baby when I say walk and roll.
chefs.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Chef Derista's hooking us up here. And we're having a big time. We made some dips. We cut some garlic. We cut some ginger.
A little bubbly.
We got some bubbly.
Yeah, baby.
We've got the Gibbons Shrine over here. I haven't ever showed anybody on YouTube any of this stuff over here, but this is the Gibbons Shrine of all the stuff he's done. We might crack some of this wine open. It's the last hurrah before the work week starts tomorrow.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, and so these gals over here,
I mean, like,
they're teaching us how to use the
Yeah, it
wok.
should be like stir fried all together.
This is gonna be incredible.
Or should we do like bottom and then top and then down?
We thought about doing a movie dinner night where we pair the movie with the meal, right? Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. That's young Tom again.
Guthrie, in your vision, did you see the noodles being tossed with everything, or did you see the noodles being on the bottom with stir fry going on top?
I thought maybe we put the noodles in with the stuff.
Stir it all,
Yeah,
stir it, okay. Toss it all
Stir
over.
fry that thing.
Great, I'm gonna chop this up. Oh,
incredible.
Shakira is
All right.
not 90s or 90s hip hop.
Hey Siri, play some 90s hip hop. We like to listen to hip hop music when we're cooking over here at the Trap House. And so, yeah,
Asian food goes great with hip hop music.
thanks so much and signing off. We'll see you guys tomorrow.